Introduction. Welcome to the session on environmental studies. This session will help you to understand the various types of pollution that affect the Earth's surface, human beings and animals. At the end of this session, you will be able to get introduced to environmental pollution, classify the types of pollution, know about ozone depleting substances, familiarize with hazardous waste and solid waste management, understand wastewater disposal and storage of petroleum, know about toxic waste, perform pesticide management and radioactive material management. Environmental pollution. Lack of pure drinking water, usage of nose masks, increasing diseases are the common cause for the environmental pollution. Environmental pollution is the adding of impurity to the environment. Environmental pollution affect air, water, soil and other natural resources. We face these kinds of environmental consequences in our day-to-day life. Air is polluted by the emission of smoke and other gases by industries and vehicles and usage of chemicals. The soil is polluted by dumping garbage and other non-biodegradable items. We know that rainwater is the purest form of water that gets stored in lakes and ponds. These water bodies are polluted by the discharge of chemical waste that come from industries and the sewage waste from cities. In addition, there are nuclear experiments happening worldwide. This is destroying the atmospheric balance. Air pollution. Air pollution can be caused by both natural and human actions. Natural actions include eruption of the volcanoes, forest fires, natural radioactivity, and evaporation of organic compounds. Human actions that lead to air pollution include any substance that people introduced into the atmosphere that affects living things. These are burning of fossil fuels, use of internal combustion engines like generators, emissions from industries and manufacturing activities, use of household and farming chemicals, emission of fumes from laboratories. Air pollution is also caused due to the usage of refrigerators and aerosol sprays that emit CFCs, methane that comes from swamps and livestock. The common air pollutants are carbon monoxide, ground level ozone, lead, nitrogen dioxide, particulate matter, sulfur dioxide. Carbon monoxide. Carbon monoxide is emitted by fuel combustion from vehicles and engines. It reduces the amount of oxygen reaching various organs of the body. Ground level ozone. Ground level ozone is a secondary pollutant that is formed by the reaction of volatile organic compounds with nitrous oxide in the presence of sunlight. Lead. Lead is generated from various sources like metal industries, combustion of leaded gasoline, waste incinerators, and in the manufacturing of batteries. This causes several health problems such as damage to the nervous system leading to loss of IQ, affects the memory and behaviors of children, and cardiovascular diseases. Nitrogen dioxide. Nitrogen dioxide is produced by combustion of fuels and can cause respiratory diseases. Particulate matter. Particulate matter is generated from chemical reactions, fuel combustion, industrial processes, farming, etc. Inhaling particulate matter results in heart and lung diseases and at times can lead to premature deaths also. Sulfur dioxide. Sulfur dioxide from combustion of high sulfur coal electric utilities, and industrial processes. It can aggravate asthma and make breathing difficult. Ozone depleting substances. Apart from just causing problem to human beings' health, air pollution can lead to depletion of ozone layer. Ozone depletion is the wearing out of the ozone present in the stratosphere. This results in higher levels of UV rays entering the earth. This can affect human beings, plants, ecosystems, and biogeochemical cycles. There are various substances that cause depletion of ozone. They are chlorofluorocarbons, hydrochlorofluorocarbons, halogens, bromochloromethane, dioxins, carbon tetrachloride, methyl bromide, methyl chloroform, hydrobromofluorocarbons. Let us learn more about each substance. Chlorofluorocarbons. Chlorofluorocarbons were first developed in 1920s to replace sulfur dioxide that was used as a coolant gas. In 1929, it replaced ammonia for cooling purposes. From 1940s, they are being used as propellant in aerosols. The usages of CFCs have almost phased out in developed countries. Measures are being taken around the world to spread awareness on products that emit CFCs and its effects. Hydrochlorofluorocarbons. Hydrochlorofluorocarbons are similar to CFCs, but the hydrogen in it makes them less stable. Therefore, it causes less damage to the ozone layer. These are used in foam blowing, refrigeration, air conditioning, solvent cleaning, and aerosols. Halogens. Halogens are effective for extinguishing fire. As they do not leave a solid residue and are not a threat to people when used at recommended concentrations, still they cause a notable damage to the ozone layer. Bromochloromethane. Bromochloromethane is also called Halons 1011. It was invented by Germans to use in fire extinguishers and to replace carbon tetrachloride. Its production was banned from 1st January 2002. Dioxins. Dioxins are a class of chemical contaminants that are formed during combustion processes such as waste incineration, forest fires, and backyard trash burning, as well as during some industrial processes such as paper pulp bleaching and herbicide manufacturing. Carbon tetrachloride is a widely used raw material for the production of CFCs. It is interesting to know that it is also used in producing various other chemicals that do not cause depletion of ozone layer. Methyl bromide. Methyl bromide is widely used in agriculture as a fumigant. Methyl chloroform. Methyl chloroform is used as a solvent in adhesives, cleaners, and degreasers. Hydrobromofluorocarbons. Hydrobromofluorocarbons were banned in all countries in 1996. These substances break down in the lower atmosphere. Then they remain in atmosphere for 20 to 120 years. Their constituents, chlorine and bromine, can help natural reactions that destroy ozone. Noise pollution. Noise is the excess sound than that is required. It produces unpleasant effect and discomfort to ears. Noise pollution interferes with our normal activities like sleep, studies, and conversation. Scientists have found that noise pollution not only disturbs or affects humans, but also animals, like the noise from submarines, which can affect the fishes. Noise is produced by vehicles, household gadgets, aeroplanes, loudspeakers, and even human beings. Noise is measured in decibels. Though noise has lesser impact on human beings than water, air or land pollution, it is still considered as environmental pollution. The major environmental pollution is caused by noise. Noise pollution can make a person deaf, but people do not act on it. Factories are the major cause for noise pollution. People working in the factories can become deaf due to the continuous exposure not only to noise but also because of the factories dump hazardous and toxic waste into natural resources that cause a huge loss to the environment. Water pollution. Contamination of water bodies like lakes, ponds, oceans, rivers, and also groundwater is referred to as water pollution. Pollutants are let into water majorly by human activities. Water pollution is caused by various sources. If a water body is polluted by a single source, it is called point source pollution. If the pollutants come from many sources, then it is called non-point source pollution. Often, pollutants affect the water bodies surrounding the source. But in certain cases, the water bodies that is hundreds of miles away get polluted by pollutants like nuclear waste. This is referred to as transboundary pollution. Water pollution is classified into 7 types. They are surface water pollution, groundwater pollution, oxygen depleting water pollution, nutrients pollution, microbiological water pollution, suspender matter water pollution, chemical water pollution. Awareness, education on water pollution and strict rules and regulations can help in reducing water pollution to a great extent. Let us know more about each water pollution. Surface water pollution. It is the pollution of water bodies that are seen on the surface of the earth, like lakes, lagoons, rivers, and oceans that come in contact with hazardous material. Groundwater pollution. Usage of pesticides and other similar chemicals come directly in contact with soil. Over a period of time, it goes deep into the ground and pollutes the groundwater. Oxygen depleting water pollution. Mixing of biodegradable material in water encourages the growth of microorganisms. They in turn use a lot of oxygen. When oxygen reduces, the aerobic organisms die and anaerobic organisms increases in number, producing harmful toxins like ammonia and sulfides. Nutrients pollution. Sewage, wastewater and fertilizers have high level of nutrients. When they mix with water bodies, it encourages algae and weed growth. This makes the water undrinkable. This can also indirectly reduce the oxygen content in water. Microbiological water pollution. Microorganisms like bacteria, viruses, and protozoa can cause illness to human beings when they drink the water with these organisms without purifying the water. It can also cause fishes and other organisms in water to die. Suspended matter water pollution. Pollutants that do not dissolve in water are called particulate matter. Such suspended matter later settles under the water body and harms the aquatic life. Chemical water pollution. Chemicals used in industries and agriculture end up in water bodies. This kills the living things underwater. Wastewater disposal. Wastewater, when discharged from industries and other point sources into water bodies or other places, can be done directly or indirectly. Direct discharge is the process of discharging wastewater directly into streams or other water bodies. Every country has a set of rules and regulations to manage this process. Indirect discharge is the process of sending the wastewater into the sewage line. Whether direct or indirect discharge of wastewater, the point sources have to be evaluated and the permissions have to be given by the respective governmental bodies. The permit conditions of direct and indirect wastewater discharge are concluded in liaison with the respective government's environmental agencies. This should include the necessary pre-treatment options as required for the permission. The facility that is involved in the process of wastewater discharge is inspected on a regular basis. Hazardous and solid waste management. Any material that is no longer of any use is to be disposed is called solid waste. Waste that can be recycled is exempted from the category of solid waste. Example of solid waste includes debris from construction or demolition, tires, medical waste, and petroleum waste. Hazardous waste. Hazardous waste is a type of solid waste. Hazardous waste exhibits the characteristics of being flammable, corrosive, reactive, or toxic. Government's role in hazardous waste management. Need for regulations was after the Bhopal gas tragedy in 1984. The Umbrella Act, that is, the Environment Act 1986. The Hazardous Waste Rules 1989. Solid waste can be classified into three types based on the source of waste. They are municipal waste, hazardous waste, infectious waste. Let's learn about each type of waste in detail. Municipal waste. This waste is generated from construction or demolition debris, sanitation residue, and also the waste from streets. The major quantity of garbage is generated from residential and commercial complexes. The amount of municipal waste is increasing day by day with the growing commercial building and complexes. Over the years, with the rapid growth of consumer market, the non-biodegradable waste is also increasing. Hazardous waste. Industrial and hospital waste is considered as hazardous waste as they contain toxic substances. Hazardous waste can be toxic to humans, animals, and plants as they are mostly inflammable or explosive and react to certain things when exposed to. It is to be noted that even certain household waste like batteries, paints, and old medicines are considered hazardous. Infectious waste. Hospital waste like sharps, soiled waste, disposables, cultures, discarded medicines, anatomical waste, and chemical waste. This waste poses a high threat to human health if it is not handled or disposed in a scientific way. Storage of petroleum. We know that petroleum is a flammable material and it considered to be hazardous. Before arriving at what kind of storage would be suitable, it is imperative to analyze certain parameters. They are type of material, volume, surrounding conditions. Let us learn about each parameter in detail. Type of material. The material that is to be stored has to be analyzed. It is important to ensure that other parameters like storage material and location ensure safety for this specific type of material. Volume. The amount of material that the storage unit has to hold at a given point has to be determined. In addition to this, it is necessary to estimate the maximum period for which the material will be stored in the storage unit. Surrounding conditions. The surrounding conditions of the tank, keeping in mind the safety of the location, has to be concluded upon. This will include the piping, the groundwater level, nearing properties, utility lines and service points. Toxic waste. Toxic waste is the material which is often found in chemical form, which can cause harm to living creatures. The most dangerous toxic wastes are mercury, lead, radon, asbestos. Let us learn about each toxic waste. Mercury. Mercury is released through emissions from manufacturing. Often products that use mercury can break and cause mercury to spill. This can evaporate and become invisible toxic vapor. Such products have to be stored safely. Lead. One common product that has lead is paint. Lead is also present in candies, contaminated soil, jewelry, and drinking water. It is also found in plumbing equipment, soldered tanks, and valves. When lead enters human body, it can cause permanent damage. Radon. Inhaling air that contains radon can increase the chances of one getting lung cancer. Radon exposure outdoor is of less risk than radon exposure indoor as it is diluted in large volume of air. Asbestos. Asbestos is a naturally occurring mineral that has many uses, including building construction. Though mere presence of asbestos does not pose any risk, inhaling microscopic asbestos fiber leads to bigger risk. Pesticide management. Pesticides are the only toxic substances that are released into the environment to kill living things. The use of toxic pesticides has become so widespread that we can find pesticides in the air we breathe, the food we eat, and the water we drink. Pesticides are not only being used in agricultural fields but also in houses, parks, roads, and buildings. Pesticides affect human health in a lot of ways, ranging from short-term impacts like nausea, headaches, to long-term chronic impacts like cancer and reproductive harm. Extensive pesticide use can harm agricultural land by harming the insect species that are beneficial for agriculture, the microorganisms and worms that maintain the soil health by natural means. To avoid this, one should follow various precautions. One must follow the instructions given on the label of the pesticide container, and the rules are laid down by the government. Disposal of excessive pesticide has to be done with caution. Alternate measures have to be adopted to reduce the use of pesticides. This can be done by employing mechanical and physical controls. Radioactive material management. Management of radioactive material and radiation plays a vital role in environmental pollution. Any activity that produces or uses radioactive material will generate radioactive waste. Examples of such activities include processes in industry, medicine, defense, and scientific research. The form of radioactive waste can be solid, liquid, or gaseous. The radioactivity of a material can last for few hours or even up to the thousands of years. Proper disposal of radioactive waste is very important in maintaining the public health and the environment. Finding suitable disposal facility that are capable of containing radiation for the required period of time is tough. Safety precautions have to be taken to avoid leakage of radiation, as such an event might result in great loss. It is also necessary that every person working in nuclear plants or any place that uses radioactive material are well educated about its effects and take utmost care while performing the activities. E-waste. Electronic waste comprises of waste electronic or electrical goods which are not fit for their originally intended uses. These include items such as computers, cellular phones, stereos, refrigerators, air conditioners, and other consumer durables, etc. E-waste is not hazardous waste. However, the hazardous constituents present in the e-waste render it hazardous when such wastes are dismantled and processed, since it is only at this stage that they possess hazard to health and environment. E-waste guidelines. The guidelines, notified in April 2008, basic guidance document identifying and recognizing fundamental principles. Producer responsibility. RoHS, restriction on hazardous substances. Best practices. Insight into technologies for various levels of recycling. The guidelines explicitly mention the need for a separate legislation for implementing producer responsibility. Legislations and framework governing e-waste. There are various legislations cover different aspects of e-waste. They are the Hazardous Waste Management and Handling Rules 1998 as amended in 2008 for toxic content registration mandatory for recyclers. Municipal Solid Waste Management and Handling Rules for Non-Toxic Content. Basel Convention for regulating transboundary movement. Foreign trade policy restricts import of second-hand computers and does not permit import of e-waste. Guidelines by Central Pollution Control Board 2008. Biomedical Waste Management Act. Proposed e-waste rules. Responsibility of each element in the e-waste value chain by the producers, extended or individual producer responsibility, dealers, collection agencies or collection centers, dismantler, recycler, consumer and bulk consumers, procedure for registration or renewal of registration of recyclers, regulations for import of e-waste, liability of producers, collection agencies, transporter, dismantler and recyclers, information and tracking, elimination of hazardous substances used in e-equipment, setting up of designated authority to ensure transparency, audit and inspect facilities, examine authorization, registration, etc.